My name is Aspen Surface, and this is my 180 story, which is my personal story about how my life was headed in one direction, and then Jesus came and changed the direction of my life 180 degrees. My whole life, I've really struggled with the idea of religion versus relationship. To me, being a Christian meant doing and saying the right things, and so achieving perfection really became an obsession for me. My desire to be the perfect Christian girl was tested really hard in high school. My junior year, I got into my first real relationship. And honestly, parts of that relationship were a really great experience. But as it went further on, I found myself being tempted by and giving in to lust. It was at that point that I became withdrawn and secretive, and that began to hurt the relationships around me. It hurt my relationship with my parents because I was too humiliated to talk to them about the decisions I had been making. And it hurt my relationship with my little sister because I was too afraid to tell her about my life for fear that I wouldn't be someone she looked up to anymore. Worst of all, it hurt my relationship with God, as I moved further away from Him and fell deeper into my own desires that were neither healthy nor fulfilling. It was at this point that I developed a horrible self-image that relied only on what other people thought of me. And because of that low self-esteem, I couldn't convince myself to leave those situations where I was experiencing that temptation. Thankfully, a couple months later, I had to leave to go away for college. And I was hoping with some extra space away from what had been happening at home that I might be able to make my life better. But boy, was I wrong. I lost a lot of friends from back home, and honestly, my self-esteem was too low that I couldn't make new ones at college. I was living alone in a basement having thoughts of regret, self-deprivation, and when times were worst, even self-harm. Honestly, I was depressed and I couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I genuinely remember thinking to myself, this is how my life will always be, and just feeling totally defeated by that thought. Not long afterwards, God brought Crew into my life, and suddenly I was propelled into this loving, accepting environment where no one shamed me for my past. For the first time in my life, I saw people my age pursuing a relationship with God and just reveling in the forgiveness He gives so freely. It was at this point that I was able to turn my eyes back towards Christ and receive forgiveness for my sins for the first time in my life. That finally enabled me to see that I'm not forgiven because of who I am or what I've done, or even what I can do. I'm forgiven by God because of who He is and what He's done for me through the death and resurrection of His Son, Jesus Christ. Before Christ, I was ashamed. Now I am accepted. My name is Aspen Surface, and this is my 180 story.